Hello everyone, welcome in this new video. Today we're going to talk about the Leblanc matchup. It's a matchup that I actually played a ton because Leblanc is a pretty popular deck, and it's also a very interesting matchup for Viktor because it's a game that we don't usually play like the others. We actually wanna stay on battlefields here. So let's dive into the new list that I have been using with Viktor. So here's the new list. I'll just tell you the couple changes I made. So from the main deck I removed a Bellows Breath and I put it in the sideboard. The reason why is because green is pretty prevalent into the meta, and Bellows Breath is not a very good card against green, so I'd rather just cut one and put it in the side. I removed the card shark and a Watcher, and I put 2 Vi in. Vi has been pretty exceptional actually. I definitely underestimated it, and it's pretty crazy in any yellow decks really. So it's a very welcome addition. Allows us to break battlefields that we truly couldn't before. And usually even if people want to avoid you from conquering, they need to spend resources on a unit that's not gonna kill anything, so it's still pretty positive for us. I also added a Decree in the main deck, and mostly because of green, because of Master Yi's, because of Irelia, we probably want 3 Decrees in the main deck. Also Leblanc, Decree is a pretty good card against it in combinations with Bellows Breath, so it makes sense. For the sideboard, I removed the BF Swords. I didn't use them much. There is also no control players at my local, but I still put Vanguard Armory. So if you have a lot of Ezreal controls, like with the Pack of Wonders or Pike discards, like Vanguard Armory is your man. You can sort of skip spamming units and they will have a very hard time to get rid of all of them. Also removed the Riptide Rex. It felt very underwhelming, and instead of that I put a third Singularity in the side. It's because Singularity is a very good card against LeBlanc and against Diana, so I usually wanted 3 of them actually in those matchups, so a welcome addition in the side. And as I mentioned, the Bellows Breath instead of the Imperial Decree, so they basically exchange places. Also I cut the Treasure Hoard. The battlefield didn't felt as good as before because now we usually deramp in early game, usually because of Sprite Fontaine, but it can also be Kill the Weak. And Forbidding Waste has actually been pretty good. It's a good battlefield against Master Yi. It's a good battlefield against like any mid-rangey decks that wants to stay on those. And we don't really care that the recruit is -1 when we defend. And it tries to fix some of the bad matches that we also have, which is notoriously like Master Yi, maybe LeBlanc, even though Leblanc doesn't mind too much Forbidding Waste. So that's it for the changes, and we can move on to the list for Leblanc. So here are the 2 versions of Leblanc that are going around. There is one with Baited Hook that recently won the 25k Riftbound Invitational in the US. It was piloted by Zidon, I mean obviously great player. So this list runs a lot of heavy cost units. It has Baited Hook to be able to keep having value through the game. I think one of the main thing with LeBlanc that you need to keep in mind is the deck is very low combat trick. Like if we look at the Baited Hook deck, there is only Hidden Blade, and that's pretty much it in combat trick. And on the right you have the list that was best of at the Xi'an Regional. And in terms of combat tricks here, there is a little bit more since there is no Baited Hook, but there is only 2 Hidden Blade, 2 Death Grip, and that's pretty much it. That's what allows us to try to stay on battlefields. Because we know we're not necessarily scared of Stupefy, we're not very scared of the Wedges of Pain, we're not really scared of any of these cards, so you know that if you put raw might and the unit against you has the equivalent might or lower, they cannot go through it. I'll mention though, Vi is a real threat. Vi can be actually considered a combat trick, and that's the main card that scares us in the, I guess, definitely in the early game. Like, just she can come like turn 2, and on Whimselok she even like gets duplicated and ganks over, so we don't really like Vi, but otherwise the deck is pretty low combat trick, which is pretty good for us. So for the Mulligan against LeBlanc, we are looking for, of course, the Pernod Poro. I mean, he makes gold, and we can usually make him reconquer. Wedges of Pain is also a very good card against LeBlanc. It allows us to hide it, and then we can, with a token, we can trade against the Leblanc champion unit, the yellow one. We can eventually kill a Black Rose Dignitary. We can even maybe kill, I don't know, a Sentry or a Soaring Scout, of course. To just help us manage the early game, and we also create gold. And I think the MVPs of these matchups are definitely the Sprite Fontaine and Xin Zhao. They are very important because it helps us retake the battlefields early game. And then we can just leave them here, and it's pretty difficult for them to retake it. Just getting over the Sprite is tough. They need the Leblanc champion unit in base, basically. And even Xin Zhao is even worse, because they only trade with the Leblanc champion unit. So Xin Zhao and Sprite, amazing card in the matchup, and you should always be looking for them. In other cards that are very good to keep eventually is, of course, Hidden Blade. It's crazy. It allows you to go around the Vi play that's so strong for them. If you keep it in hand or just hide it, you can either bait Wedges of Pain or Hidden Blade, of course. That's also why Wedges of Pain is good. It might dissuade them from doing the Vi play because they might be scared of a Hidden Blade. Singularity is an amazing card in this matchup as well, be able to target Cartus in their base and something else. And it happens pretty often that you just Singularity one unit in their base because that's all they have. Especially if it's just a Rex or a Glass, like you're very happy just to snipe it. You spend 6 power and then just get rid of the Rex, and you get to conquer and hold and more and more and more. And of course the combo Bellows Breath Imperial Decree is really good. Also, like, Bellows Breath has value in early game. You can eventually try to clear a backline after breaking a Glass Mixologist or even a Battlefield with it, since some of the units are so small, like the Watchful Sentry and the Soaring Scout. And Imperial Decree, if you manage to build a large enough base, depending on if you got hit by the Rex and Cartus combo or not, that can be pretty good. I think one of the best ways for us to steal games or eventually come back when you lose control is Imperial Decree Bellows Breath. So for the sideboard going second, we're removing all the Call the Weak. To be fair, Call the Weak is not a terrible card in the matchup, surprisingly. It's mostly because they put their small units on the battlefield, so we can easily clear them with a Sprite or even a Zin. And then we can Call the Weak the only unit in base. The reason why we need to side them out is that it's pretty tough to find cards to side out, actually. And if you draw Call the Weak in late game, the card is pretty bad. You know, rather just take them out and we put in Bellows Breath to have a little bit more consistent combo. A Singularity, because as I said, like, the card is so good at killing Rex as soon as he's played, so it's very important. And of course Cartus. Put in a Salvage, so we have 2 Salvage in the main deck here when we go second against the Baited Hook version. If, of course, you don't play against Baited Hook, put a Facebreaker instead. And when we're going first, we're actually gonna remove the Salvage and the Call the Weak, and we're gonna put in the Facebreaker. Since we are the first ones on the battlefields, we can actually hide the Facebreaker and just push them back, because the entire idea in this matchup for Viktor against Leblanc is trying to hold the battlefields as much as you can in early game, so you can get a lot of points, and then you can finish the game with Imperial Decree, Singularity, Watcher eventually. Watcher is also a pretty decent card in this matchup, but I definitely wouldn't keep it. So just keep that in mind. You need to occupy the battlefields early on, and we are pretty good at doing this. And finally, for the threats, I mean, it's the usual suspects. As I said, Cartus and the Rune Rex combo. More specifically, the Rune Rex really needs to be killed as soon as he hits the board. That's why I also have a third Singularity in the side. It's because we really want this guy that as soon as he's played, we just Singularity him and he's gone. And also Mirror Image is one of their rare ways to accelerate units. Otherwise, Leblanc doesn't have that many accelerates besides Watcher and Mirror Image. That's pretty much it. Some lists are running the Sprite Fountain. This is really annoying for us, but most of them don't, so that's nice. Keep in mind with the signature spell, the Mirror Image, specifically if you do a Conquer with Vi, remember that it can actually copy your Vi and then stun it back and then kill it. Try to play around that, like hide a Hidden Blade, or if you have a chance, I don't know, if you got to hold with Vi, don't hesitate to retreat back. I think something that's very important to understand this matchup is when you need to stop trying to hold battlefields. And it's usually to the middle to end of the game. Like, if you're sitting on the combo, or if you're sitting on a Singularity, like, you are free to just let him have the battlefields. And that's specifically true for the game 1, where we are on the Rockfall path, because he cannot duplicate his tokens on Rockfall path, so all we have to do really is hold one battlefield and it's his. And the other battlefield we can just send a bunch of tokens to take it, and he usually doesn't really want to go there, because he can't duplicate. He still will go there, but it's easier to break in. So for the gameplay that's coming up, we are facing the Baited Hook list from Zidane, the most recent one, so should be a pretty good game. Game 1 against Leblanc, we obviously pick Rockfall path. It's our go first battlefield, and it's very good in this matchup because it makes us only worry about one battlefield. The hand is pretty good. Since we are going second, I'm gonna send back the Faithful Manufacturer. We already have the Poro, so they kinda do the same thing, and I'd rather have the gold from it. And we also have a Sprite Fountain, which is pretty good. We draw a Zin and a Stupefy, which is an excellent combination. And our opponent's gonna go ahead and play a 2-drop. And the Watchful Sentry comes down. We are just gonna develop the Poro and a token. Some pretty basic Viktor stuff, but a solid turn 1. It's gonna move on Star Spring, and that's fine for us, of course. Most likely gonna make a copy, and maybe he's gonna try to send it on Rockfall path to get double conquer on his second turn. He's going to discard a Soaring Scout, okay. Just gonna spend 3 and probably play the Leblanc champion unit on the battlefield. That's what it does. Trigger a Star Spring, and it's gonna come on Rockfall Path. And that's perfectly fine. We have a pretty good turn in front of us. We can start by Stupefy the Leblanc, see what we get, but I think our turn is pretty much set. Now we can send us in to take over the Star Spring and get a pretty good value trade on those units. Grabbing our first point, and we can send the Poro to get the Conquer and the Reflection. We get a gold. Pretty efficient turn on our side. We have 2 tokens in base, we have control of both battlefields, and we completely wiped him. So that's pretty good. So he's gonna spend everything, probably drop a Glass Crystallogist in his base. We are moving to 4. Pretty nice that we move this fast. We can probably just develop the Faithful Manufacturer and then a token. And this is why Kaldok is not that bad in this matchup. It's because he sends usually small units to battlefields so we can easily clear them. And then the only big units are left behind. So that's a very good tempo turn for us. We get to remove his unit for cheap, and we get to build a base. He's gonna replay the Leblanc in his base, and I decide to leave Xin Zhao at the battlefield with a token. But in hindsight, that's probably a mistake because it gets punished by Vi. So I should have definitely just bring back Xin and the Rook in my base, and we can use an Imperial Decree to take the battlefields back next turn, since we have 2 of them and we have a healthy amount of units right now. So Vi will be pretty tough, and he comes with LeBlanc and asks for a trade, and that's obviously fine. And he's most likely gonna develop another big unit in his base. Another Glask. So we move to 5, and very likely we're gonna move to 6. I'm gonna send the Poro, of course, getting a Conquer, and just making as many golds as possible. Gonna make an extra token. I'm tempted to just pad a Singularity on the Glask, and I'm gonna go for it. Because I don't want him to be able to duplicate the Glask and start stacking battlefields. We have Imperial Decree in hand to close the game, and a lot of units, so let's make sure that we don't have to go through too many units. So we're looking obviously in a pretty good position. We have Decree, he has almost nothing, and it doesn't have that many runes either. So that's fine, he can take Star Spring, make his copy. He's gonna have to play something on this battlefield to be able to send the Leblanc back. He's going to play the Watchful Sentry. Can take Rockfall Path, just let go of the Poro. He moves to 4. He's gonna spend 2 more. Playing another sentry on the battlefield, trying to stack. Maybe he can add a hidden card on this battlefield. I don't really see a way out for him. And here is the hidden card that is gonna place. Most likely a Hidden Blade. I mean, the Zidane list only has Hidden Blades. And he's gonna develop a hook. So we can just play the Sprite Fontaine and the Imperial Decree. And we can threat the triple kill of the 2 sentries and the Leblanc, and if he Hidden Blades the Sprite, we can send the Faithful Manufacturer to kill the Leblanc and the sentry, and then we have the exact amount of units to be able to close the game out, so we have this one in the bag. For the game 2, we're going to pick Forbidding Waste. It's a very good battlefield to be paired with Whims of Helllock, because Resurrection gets the -2. And we decide to full keep because the hand is very good. We have the Sprite, the Poro, we have a Stupefy, which is also very nice, and a Singularity. And we get to do the same turn than last game, and it's very nice. He's going to develop his Leblanc Champion unit. He also misses turn 2, which is not outrageous since the list only plays 6 of them. But it's definitely not ideal. So we're gonna develop the Sprite. I send it on Whims of Helllock because it can challenge LeBlanc, and with the Stupefy we can ask for a trade, which should be decently annoying for him. We're gonna do the Conquer with the Poro, get our gold. And here I made a bit of a mistake because I decided to push the Recruit on the battlefield to deny... Actually, that doesn't even work. I probably just forgot that LeBlanc had Assault. And even if she didn't, that was still bad, so small mistake from me there. That recruit should never move up because he probably wants to try to conquer Whims of Pellock if he can. And I also, I think, forgot at the moment that she had Assault, which I don't with the Stupefy, which is a bit odd. So I'm going to Stupefy the Leblanc and we get Vide, which is pretty rough. He gets the Battlefield for free and he also get to duplicate his Leblanc and gank over. Luckily for us, we have a decent answer with our own Vi. Next turn we could potentially play a Singularity, but we're going to be at 6 runes and we don't really want to spend our entire turn doing a Singularity and not developing base. So we get another Sprite, which is going to be crucial to be able to do the Vi play. So I'm going to send the Sprite and most likely just the Vi to stun his own Vi. The good thing also is that we get the gold to tank the power cost and he can only kill the Sprite, which doesn't give him a lot of value. So we're moving to 3. We are definitely gonna go on a slower pace game here, a bit more control style from us. I mean, Leblanc is very happy that the game lasts a bit longer. We couldn't really make it any other way. We wiped him and we also control battlefield and it's just gonna develop a Rex. We get to hold to 4 and we're definitely going to conquer to 5. And we're definitely gonna use the Singularity to get rid of the Rex. We do not want this guy to do any conquer. That'll be very scary. So he kills the token in the base and we can just replace him with a new one. We definitely need to retreat this Vi to play around Mirror's Image, because that will definitely suck that he copies it, kills our own Vi, ganks over, and now we're just left with 1 recruit. So he's going to play a Glask in his base and pass. So far his turns have been pretty slow and we're already at 6 points. We can definitely Singularity this Glask for the same reason we did it in game 1, because we don't want the Glask to be established. And if we try to hold with just the Vi, well, he threats just playing his own Vi and also Watcher. So we don't really want to send it. We just check his discard, he only has a Cartus and a Leblanc. We probably won't move to 7 to be able to look for an Imperial Decree. But before doing any decisions, we're gonna get rid of the Glask. So we play the Singularity. And we kill him. We'll see what comes out of this. Most likely a Cartus. He has a lot of cards in hands. But if his hand is very bad, he has to go for a Leblanc. But Cartus will make sense. He can try to wipe us with a Rex and a Sacrifice on his next turn, if he has another one. So he replays the Cartus in his base. And I decide to play the Sprite Fontaine here, because he replayed the Cartus. This way I can send it to Whims of Pellock. I get to keep my recruits. I move to 7, which will help us dig for Decree. And most importantly, we deny him the Conquer with Cartus on Whims of Pellock. So he can't just Conquer, do a duplicate, and then play a Rex and Sacrifice and wipe us completely. And with only 8 runes, definitely not afford just using a Hidden Blade on this Sprite and letting us draw. So he's going to spend all of his runes, probably telling that a Watcher's coming. And it is. He's going to take over the Sprite, which is fine. He's going to make a copy of it. And he might be ganking, he might not. It seems like he decides not to gank, and he's going to try to go for a hold. He even moves on the Cartus. So we get the Sprite, and after looking at the situation back, we do not have the lethal. I don't see any ways for us to win this turn. I think we're short of either blue runes or 2 damage. So we're gonna move to the Forbidden Waste, and we get that Wedges of Pain that could have maybe solved the puzzle, but unfortunately it doesn't do it. We definitely want to come in the Whims of Pellock to get rid of his actual units. So if we're doing that, we need to develop Viktor first, so we get some of those tokens back, and if we get Imperial Decree, we have a some amount of units to play with. Here I make a bit of a mistake, because I'm gonna start by using Wedges of Pain on Cartus, but what I should have done was sending the Sprite and Vi first, and then Vi can stun the Cartus, and then I can use the Wedges of Pain on him. Because now I stun the Watcher, and I get to kill him, and I forget that I actually have 8 might, so they don't both die. This means that the sprite is recalled to base and I will have one less ready recruit to play with, which definitely can matter if an Imperial Decree is drawn or if a Rex play is made. It's going to react to the temporary trigger from the Watcher and play a Vi to be able to hold, and he's going to use the Leblanc. So he's definitely retaking both battlefields here. Of course, he cannot let me hold. This can also mean that it was his only way to deny the hold from me with the Vi. So he ganks over. And he's gonna tap the Forbidding Waste. And he's going to add an extra unit. It's a Soaring Scout. So we get Imperial Decree, which makes winning the game very easy, but even without Imperial Decree, we actually win the game because we can send Viktor and Forbidding Waste and get a free trade on the copy, and then we can Pedos Breath, the Soaring Scout, and the Vi, and then send the sprite that we make with the Sprite Fountain and a token, and then we have exactly 2 tokens to... We actually have 1 token to work with to conquer Whims of Psylocke, so we had it. That's it for the video. I hope that you learned a thing or two, and if it's the case, don't hesitate to drop a comment or a like. That surely helps the channel grow, and see you next time. Bye bye.